Welcome to the Black Lotus Temple. Today is the 1st of June. Everywhere you look, and yet before I even go on, if you do not like hearing bad language, then don't watch this video. Don't listen to it. Because I'm going to say what I want to say. Everywhere we look, we're getting fucked. We're getting screwed. Everywhere you look. Doesn't matter what it is. The prices of everything are going up. The value of everything is going down. And every day we become more and more slaves of the fucking state. Not too long ago, a law came into effect here in California that raised the minimum wage to $20 an hour. Immediately when this happened, prices in fast food restaurants and all over went up. It is almost $20 for a fucking Big Mac. And yet the Big Mac has actually become almost 50% smaller than what it was when I was a kid. Almost $20. Well, now, my brothers and sisters, McDonald's is the first. This is the beginning of it. McDonald's is the first to come out and say, we are going to close all of our stores in California. We're leaving the state. And why? Because they can't afford to pay $20 an hour to anyone. See, McDonald's and fast food restaurants, even though they make billions, they actually rely very heavily on the amount of business they get to offset their prices. People better learn how business works. You know, it's easy to say, well, the company makes billions, they can afford it. No, they can't. They literally depend on a rush of people coming in every day to offset the costs. They're closing up. There won't be McDonald's in the state of California. And see, the thing is, I'm not advocating for McDonald's. It's not like there's some healthy, restaurant to go to. But the fact is, they shouldn't be leaving the state because they can't afford to operate their businesses. And why? Because the government told them this is how much you're going to pay your people. Who in the fuck is the government to tell a private industry what they're going to pay and what they're not going to pay? I'll tell you what, Newsom, who's the fucking governor out here, he is a fucking nightmare, just like his fucking aunt, Pelosi. And I'll tell you what, Newsom's pussy is probably as dirty as his aunt's. They're fucking foul fucking people. They're evil. You want to see evil people? Look at your fucking goddamn politicians and your fucking goddamn religious leaders. and you'll see pure evil. Look at your court systems. Look at your law enforcement, your educational institution, your medical fucking institutions, and you will see pure fucking evil. I'm telling you this now. You know what? Basic human people, just your normal, average, everyday, Joe Schmo and Sally Rottencrotch, they're not what I would call evil. They're just people trying to live, trying to support their families, and they're just people who make mistakes. I wouldn't consider them evil. But these fucking leaders in our government and our institutions, our military, our religion, whatever it may be, they're evil. They're fucking evil. They're making fucking billions off of us. And then they pass their little laws and tell us, well, this is what you're gonna fucking do. It's like getting pulled over for speeding. You're doing 45 and a 35. Where's the fucking victim? A crime has to have a fucking victim. Where is the victim? You didn't hit nobody. You weren't driving recklessly. You were just driving 45 miles an hour in a 35. And you see the fucking police do this shit all the fucking time. They're constantly speeding without lights, without sirens. And they're going to pull you over and they're going to fucking ticket you. And they're going to tell you how bad you are. And you got to go before someone in a fucking black robe and explain yourself. All of this is revenue collection. That's all it is. And I'll tell you what, there's something behind all this with McDonald's, with these laws raising minimum wage. I'm telling you, there's something else behind this. They're getting prepared for something else. Because let me tell you something. It's like all these electric vehicles they've come out with. The electric vehicles are a piece of shit. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. And they have gas generators operating the electric stations to charge your fucking electric vehicle. So you're still using gas. But let me tell you something. There's something behind all this. Let me get to it. See, now California, and California is not the only state. If you think you're going to leave California and go to another state and you're going to live the high life, you're full of shit, because every state's following the same fucking pattern that you see here in California. Almost every state. But in time, every state will. I guarantee you this. California is now saying, well, the electric vehicles are becoming so numerous that we're not receiving tax money like we used to from gas prices. Well, number one, they pushed the electric vehicle. They wanted you to have this because, oh my God, we got to save the fucking planet. We got to save the fucking planet. So they push all these hybrid and electric vehicles. At the same time, when they wanted people to buy these electric vehicles, gas prices shot up to over $5 a gallon. They're forcing people. They're forcing people to get these electric cars, even though they're saying, well, it's your choice. No, they're forcing it. So now they're saying, well, so many people have bought electric vehicles, we're getting fucked out of money that we got from gas tax. We're not receiving the tax money we used to. So here's what they're going to do. They've already started a pilot program. They're going to charge you 30 cents per mile to drive. 30 cents per mile. So let's say you got to go to work and your work's what, 10 miles away. Okay. That's $3 you owe the government. I want you to think about that. That's $6 a day you owe the government. $6 a day. And you see nothing wrong with this? Do the math, people. $6 a day. And we're only going to use a 5-day work week. We're not even going to factor in the weekends. Okay? So $6 per day. And you take that times 5, for your 5 days of work. You owe the government $30 a week just to go to and from work. $30. Now there's 52 weeks. Now, in adding the 52 weeks, I've thrown in the weekends. Okay? Because let's say you only drive 20 miles a day. You're just not a big driver. Then that means you owe $1,500, over $1,500 a year to drive. Over $1,500 you now owe the state of government, the state of California. And why? Why? You're paying the government so you could go to work to pay the rest of your fucking bills along with the rest of your fucking taxes for the government. You're paying them to go to work. You're paying them for the privilege to work your ass off at a job you probably don't want to be in, just so you can continue to pay them. And yet, the other taxes are going to go up. They're not going to keep them at the level they are now. And I'm not going to say they're low because they're not. $0.30 a mile. I mean, my fucking God, really? And you want to know why this shit goes on? Because people put their tail between their legs and they bite their fucking tongue. That's why. That's why. They refuse to do anything about it. They refuse to say anything. One reason is because they're afraid. They're afraid to say anything because they know if they do, if they say too much, they'll have law enforcement busting down their fucking door. Law enforcement is nothing more than your shock troops in a communist government, your secret police. They're there to bust down your fucking door and say you're an enemy to the fucking state. They're not here to protect. They're not here to serve. They're here to collect money and to make sure that the so-called laws of man are enforced. I mean, this whole fucking goddamn fucking world has had it. It's collapsing all around us. Where I live in sunny, Southern California, which is nothing more than a pigsty of a fucking place. I've got a church directly across from me. Well, a little diagonal to the right, but pretty much right across from me on the other side of the alley. I swear to God, it's like the Underground fucking Railroad for all your druggy fucking drug addicted fucking perverts and every other drag of society you can fucking think of. They break into that church every goddamn fucking week. They sit there and shit right in front of you. They don't give a fuck if you see it. They squat and shit right in front of you, men and women. They'll stand there and fucking piss right in front of you. They sit there and do their drugs. They break into the church. They break into the storage room. They break into everything. They've graffitied the whole fucking thing. And of course, the church, they have that attitude of, well, what would Jesus do? I'll tell you what, I guarantee you this. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. He wouldn't be sitting there with them, doing drugs, having sex. And he sure in hell wouldn't be pissing and shitting in front of people. He sure in the hell wouldn't be sitting there condoning them breaking into someone else's fucking property. These fucking homeless, drug addict, fucking people who deserve to have their fucking life snuffed out. Yes, I fucking said it. My compassion is for those who fucking have earned it. They deserve to have their life snuffed out. They're worthless fucking people. Worthless fucking human beings. And the church don't give a fuck. Oh, they're upset that every week they have to repair the doors, replace locks. Oh, yeah, they get upset about that. But I'll tell you what, they do nothing to protect their own building. And apparently they don't give a fuck if their church is known, as being the place to go for homeless to receive drugs and sex and every fucking thing else you can think of. Apparently that's okay. And it makes me wonder, why does the pastor at this fucking Church of the Living Waters, if I have read my Spanish correctly, I wonder if the pastor or the pastor and the deacon or whoever they have in their hierarchy is getting a cut from it. Because they sure don't seem to give a fuck that all these degenerates are there. I mean, yesterday, there were over 20 of them camped out. And believe it or not, I couldn't believe it, a fucking deputy sheriff finally ran them out. Only to have them come back 2 hours later. I'm sorry. If it offends you that I said people like that need to have their lives snuffed out, too fucking bad. Too fucking bad. They're worthless. They're worthless pieces of shit. And you know who's just as worthless as these homeless, degenerate fuckers? And I'm not talking homeless people who have a family and they lost their job, through no fault of their own, and now they're homeless. Those type of people, they don't want to be homeless. They need help because they want help. They want to help themselves. Those are the people you help. Those are the people you show compassion for. These fuckers out here that I see, they don't want the help. They love being homeless. They love being on drugs. They love doing crime. They love it all. And you want to know who's just as bad, if not worse, than these degenerates? That's your fucking politicians. That's your fucking religious leaders. That's your fucking law enforcement, your court system, your educational system, your medical system. All of them are just as bad, if not fucking worse than they are. That's right. You look at these fucking people who are supposed leaders. They're not leaders of men. They're not leaders of women. They're leaders of the most sinister fucking evil you've ever seen. And they're leading everybody who follows them to the worst fucking possible outcomes you can think of. I find it funny. They want people to buy electric cars, gas prices automatically go up. Now that people are buying electric cars, oh, well, we don't have gas tax now. We're not raking in the same amount. So now we got to charge you 30 cents per mile. What's it going to be after that? What if people start carpooling? Well, you know what? We're charging 30 cents per mile. It's law. And now everyone's carpooling. We're still not getting the tax. So now we're going to tax you not only per mile, but we're going to tax you even more if you have anyone in your car. You don't think it's coming? You don't think it's coming that they're going to look at us and say, you know what? We own the air that you breathe. You have to pay us for the right to breathe. You don't think that's coming? If you don't believe that's coming, you're blind, deaf, and dumb. Hell, all these states now have already told people you cannot legally collect rainwater because we own it. The governments own the rainwater. Can you believe that? Look it up if you don't believe me. Hell, there was a guy in Oregon not too long ago. He collects rainwater and he uses it to water his plants. He got arrested for theft of county property because he collected rainwater. Look at the Amish. Hundreds of years. They've gotten nothing from the government and they've given nothing to the government. They want to be left the fuck alone. And you know what? I have no problem with that. And now the government's doing everything they can to bully the Amish, to get them on the grid, to have them start paying their taxes. Now the kids are going to have to go to public school instead of the Amish school. They can no longer sell their healthy milk and meat and vegetables. They've got to do everything that everyone else is doing. If it's all natural, you can't sell it. That's fucking illegal. If it's healthy, it's illegal. And they're taking them to court and arresting them. I told you, every goddamn fucking church belongs to the Council of Churches in the UN, and they're all voting the same way. And it's sure in the hell not for your fucking salvation. Don't give a fuck about your salvation. What they give a fuck about is that you pay your taxes to the government, you pay your tithes or your taxes to the church, because we all know God needs money. And you do what the fucking church and government fucking tell you to do. But see, no one wants to say anything because they're afraid. Well, that fear is going to have to get worse, isn't it? Suffering is going to have to get worse because until you fucking realize what's going on, it's going to keep getting worse. What is that old saying? For evil to spread, all it takes are for good people to stand there and do nothing. Hell, we're allowing everything. We have to be tolerant of everything, but no one's tolerant of us. If you're not on the bandwagon for government or any of these institutions I've already mentioned, oh my God, you're an enemy. And yet, even if you are on the bandwagon, the government has already told us in their fucking laws that the American people are the greatest enemy to the fucking state. It's in their own records. Look it up. Look it up. I told you before, I've said this many a times. If you're not willing to suffer, you're going to suffer anyway. You might as well choose how you're going to suffer. I'll tell you what, I wish people would listen, and I wish millions upon millions of Americans would just stop going to work and tell their finance companies for their house, we're not fucking paying it. And tell the government, we're not fucking paying you either. You're all fucking fired. We don't want you. Shut down the fucking country peacefully. You don't have to get violent. A shot doesn't have to be fired. A hand doesn't need to be lifted. That's never going to happen. The whole government, the whole fucking system needs to be redone. I want you to think about what you live in. You live in a world where you have to kill to eat, whether that's animal life or plant life. Oh, being a vegetarian so much fucking holier than being a meat eater. Bullshit. You know how many millions of species you kill every fucking year to have your fucking vegetarian farms? And science has already figured it out. Plants have a form of consciousness and they feel pain. So we live in a world where we kill to eat. We live in a world where a lot of the time we have to fucking kill to survive. Because if we don't, someone else will kill us. And it's getting worse. We live in a world where people that we will never meet are making rules and laws and telling us how we're going to live our lives. And yet we're never going to know these people. We'll see them on TV. We'll hear them on the commercials and radio. But chances are you'll never meet them. And if you did, they're going to lie right to your face anyway. And we know they're lying because their fucking mouth is moving. Their career is being a liar. Their whole career is that way. Everything they do and say is a fucking lie, is a fucking out and out deception, a fucking out and out fucking with you mentally. It is a mental mind fuck. Our leaders, whether men or women, whether in the institutions I've mentioned or in government, whatever, it doesn't matter. Our leaders are nothing more than sadistic, habitual liars who bend you over and fuck you in the ass and don't even give you the common courtesy of a fucking reach around. And then they tell you, I love you. I care about you. I'm doing this for your own good. What's that? I'm telling you now. Everybody's worried about the Illuminati. Oh, secret societies. Oh, satanic panic. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You better start worrying about some other things. Things that are actually coming down the fucking road. But see, most people I would describe as this way. They're standing on a train track. Most people. And you hear the horn of the train. You hear it. You see the light of the train, and it's coming at them full force. Full force. And this train has various cars. One train is government, one car is government, one car is religion, one car is law enforcement, one car is medical, one education, and so on and so on and so forth. And you're yelling at the people on the track, get off the fucking track. Get off the fucking track. The train is coming. It's going to fucking hit you. No, it won't. That's what they do. No, it won't. Not going to happen. I support this train. I support government and religion and blah, 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 blah. Train's still coming. And then eventually, the train fucking hits them. It hits them. And they're suffering. And yet, what do? They look at you and say, what? You couldn't fucking tell me a train was coming? It's the way people are. You warn them and warn them and warn them. And they tell, nope, nope, I'm a supporter of all this. And then when they're suffering because they got hit by what they support, it's, you couldn't have warned me. Really? Because I'll tell you what, a good example is the Buddha. The Buddha was a prince. And you know what? He gave it up. He gave up the wealth, the power, the status, gave it all up. Oh, his father was pissed. And let me tell you something, the Buddha was from the Kshatriya class. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. He was a warrior. He was very skilled in martial arts. He wasn't a pussy. He knew how to defend himself. But he gave up the role of a prince. He gave up politics. He fucking gave up religion. He never, ever taught a religion. He taught the way. The true Yeshua did not teach a religion. Yeshua did not give us Christianity. Paul did. Yeshua taught the way. Lao Tzu, who gave us the Tao Te Ching. He talked away. Hell, he said it straight. It's called the Tao, which means the way. All these prophets and priests that we honor so well, or at least we think we do, talked away. Everyone thinks that the Buddha taught passive to be passive. No, he didn't. He said be nonviolent. There's a difference. There's a difference. Nonviolent doesn't mean you don't defend yourself. Look at some of these orders. The Shaolin order. Did you know Shaolin priests eat meat? They're not vegetarians. And why? Because they need that fucking extra protein because of the training they do. Look at the Yamabushi monks of Japan. They were warrior priests. In a lot of ways, they were almost like the Shaolin version, except they were in Japan. Look at the Shirinji Kempo practitioners in Japan. They're warrior monks. That's all they are. And their founders all taught them, yes, you need to be nonviolent until nonviolence doesn't work anymore. Then if you need to defend yourself or defend some other innocent person, you do it. Then you're ready for it. Let me tell you something. Why do you think the martial arts have become all sport? They've taken the literal defense out of it. We have MMA, and yeah, these guys are tough. There's no doubt about it. But it's a barroom brawl. That's all it is. And we glorify that. But true martial arts, they've taken the martial out of it. Now it's just the art. It looks good. It looks great in the movies. But there's no real defense to it anymore. They've taken that out because they want to give you a form of defense without actually giving you the skills to do it. They're taking the aggression out of men because they don't want people that are going to fight back. See, people, I find it funny. People will spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars going to places such as Disneyland, Disney World, all these different amusement parks. They'll spend hundreds of dollars a year on movies and all these creature comforts and everything else. But do you think a person will walk into a temple, an actual temple, and say, teach me? Prepare me physically, mentally, and spiritually? See, people don't want that. I'll tell you what, if I could be the age I am today, yet back when I was born, I guarantee you I'd probably be a millionaire right now. If I was to open a temple back when I was born, and to teach what I know, I would have probably numerous temples all over the country. Numerous. And I'd be making good money. But I'll tell you what, not only would I be making good money, I'd be producing disciples who actually knew how to defend themselves, who actually knew something about spirituality. See, I don't teach everything I know. I teach you what I want you to know until you prove to me that you can go on into the higher. See, I don't mind acting stupid either. Oh, there's people that look at me and go, "God, you're not very bright, are you?" And I'm like, "No, not really." Because see, I'm very confident in what I know. So therefore, I don't have to share what I know, except with those who actually want it, which are very few and far between. I'm telling you now, you better start fucking waking up, people. You better start getting prepared physically, mentally, and spiritually. Contact me. I'll set up whatever curriculum that you need. But I'll tell you what, it's not easy. And I'm not going to be a very easy teacher. Get a hold of me at mysticalhermit@gmail.com. Mysticalhermit@gmail.com. It's time to start learning, and I'm prepared to start teaching. Amen. So mote it be. Namo Amitabha.